Hey world, it's being willing to come back with another video two times. Two times. The reason why I want to come back with this video because I just want to give a historical analysis over the hypocrisy of this nation as a whole. And why do I say that? I mean, if you look what's going on right now, they have this, what they call this woke community, where they want to tear down the statues of these quote unquote founding fathers, Robert E. Lee, Sam Houston, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, all these guys, right, that they say were racist because they were slave owners, right? But let's dig deeper. And let's ask, why are we trying to take down statues of individuals when the same policies exist? Let's go back in time, family. We go back to the 1600s, okay, in the 1700s, when this quote-unquote country was actually colonized. Well, George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, all these cats that came over here, there was actually 13 colonies that in 1605 or 1607 was the first colony, which was Virginia. They all came from the England, right? They all came over here and established a quote-unquote country to basically, separate themselves from England and separate themselves from the monarchical rules of the Queen. They didn't like the fact that they had to pay taxes. I think one of the biggest things that they teach us in history is that, no taxation without representation. You talk about the Boston Tea Party, where they didn't, they dumped all that tea into the Boston Harbor as a action of revolt because they didn't like paying taxes. There was something called the Sugar Act, where they had to pay tax on sugar. They didn't want to do that as well. And then, of course, you had the Boston Massacre, where, the British sent troops over to this country to basically police those that was established in residence in these colonies. Kind of similar to today, where we have, the police department, the sheriff department, the constables, where they were actually policing the citizens, right? But if we just think back and look at the fact that this country was allegedly created to revolt against England and its tax laws. They didn't like that, right? But how is it that those that are quote unquote the founding fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, all these cats, right? And the whole constitutional government that was created, isn't it mighty ironic that they have the same monarchical system where they taxing us without representation? This whole notion of a government is a farce. Who's representing you? They have income tax where they taxing us on our labor. They tax us on everything. And these same individuals that are quote unquote supposedly be elected, but we know they're selected because there is no representation. There's no recourse. There's no benefits for the citizens. And the same thing that they allegedly, and that's why I question it. How can you allegedly have something called the U.S. Revolution where y'all fighting against England, one of the most powerful countries in the world at that time? You guys only had like a couple of colonies. England had the most powerful navy in the world. And y'all trying to tell me that they just said, okay, hey, you guys can have your independence. And so you have your Declaration of Independence, which was actually a declaration that they sent telling the British monarchy that we're declaring our freedom. What? England had allies. Do you honestly think that if England wanted to defeat the quote-unquote Americans that they couldn't. You had France, you had Spain, you had all these other countries in Europe that was allies with England that could have easily came over here and destroyed the quote-unquote colonists. So it's a farce, family. It's the biggest Jedi mind trick ever. And to this day, we still paying taxes out the ass with no representation. To this day, if you don't pay taxes, if you don't file your taxes, they will come and take everything from you. Where's your representation, family? And taking down monuments, what does that do? Why take down Robert E. Lee, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham? Why take down monuments and statues when the same policy exists? That's ridiculous. It's the Jedi mind trick. It's the banana in the tailpipe. Okay? Just things I was thinking about, family. And this whole notion of inflation. Family, back in what, 1967, I think, when Burger King first, came on the scene, the Whoppers were 37 cents. Whoppers are now almost $3.50 now. But ask yourself, did you get a 300% raise? The whole notion that they can, inflict inflation on the people and tell us that, you know what, the loaf of bread that cost $1.50 this year or last year is $2 this year, and no one says nothing, and then you still have to pay taxes, you still have to get car registration, car insurance, homeowners insurance, all of this. Who's representing you? So the same people that came over here and colonized this country, and don't forget about the Trail of Tears, all those Native Americans that were killed and slaughtered, the same individuals that did that said they wanted freedom from England, they would come over here and inflict the same taxations, the same degradations, the same imprisonment on us that was allegedly done on them. Come on, family. History is a mother. Look at Australia right now. Look at South Africa right now. Okay? Remember back in the day when everything was made in Taiwan? Now everything is made in China. What happened to Taiwan? Oh, that's right. You can't talk about them no more. But I digress. Family, pay yourself first. I tell you, understanding this history, and when you understand history, and when you're conscious, and when you're aware of what's going on, it's not an accident I can have over 2,300 subscribers and only have like 50 people or 70 views on my videos. How does that work? Why aren't my videos being notified to my family members? I got over 2,300 subscribers for the last 2.5 years. You trying to tell me ain't nobody else listening to The Bean? Ain't nobody else trying to get this food for thought? You dig? Pay yourself first, family. In the meantime, between time, may the Most High Side bring you joy. Shout out to my boy KY, Minnesota in the house. Nephew Marcus. Stay up, family. And I'm out at 5,000.